Radio. When I look at you, I know I want to be with you forever, baby. I love you. But I don't want to let you go either. So why don't we all make this work?
To be or not to be, baby, that was a question. Cause when we met, we was looking for a direction. Can't front, when I saw your body caught my attention. Not to mention, I was really looking for some affection. That was a section of my life on suspension. I was tossing shorties up like a sexual engine, fucking and Frenching, just like a dark arts henchman. But when she hit me with the bomb, it got me thinking. She suggested another potential sister and lover. And with this other in the covers, maybe we both a lover. And now, I'm thinking, damn, how soon? So we could all get a room and get down. But wait, should I debate what if shorty's a flake? But if I hesitate, it might be too late. Should I contemplate and await the fate? If all this ice I just gave, let the pussy marry me and polyamory. It was another way to be, more than polygamy. It was another way to see, although we could be. And said it too, it was a sleep. But everything we see ain't what it appeared to be in polyamory.
I need you to have you in my life. Don't care what people say, I'll be your otherwise.
About 3 months later was as long as she could wait her. She told me about this girl that she knew from Jamaica with some nice firm titties and wore very little makeup. We all had dinner, started hanging out with waiter. But maybe I should date her first, myself collect the data. The thought of being with both at once outweighed her. My rational perception of the sequence of events. I really didn't care about the secrets or pretend. To make a long story short, it came down to one night that we was bumping on a tree, all feeling alright. One to buckle my pants, the other started to dance. Both was giving me head, vaginas full of my hands. The sex was sticky and wet. They started sucking their breath, one position to the next. When we finally fell asleep, I was looking at the dawn, thinking, damn, this shit was really long. Polyamory, it was another way to be, more than polygamy. It was another way to see, although we could be. And said it too, it was a sleep. But everything we see ain't what it appeared to be in polyamory.
I need you to have you in my life. Don't care what people say, I'll be your otherwise.
See, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. I had no idea what this relationship was headed. I really didn't care, so as both of them was there. Thought that we was building something cause they bodies they share. Intimate liaisons, the sex amazon. But they both was keeping secrets like a larger mason. Competing with one another while using me as the other. I was the envy of my brothers, but they started to smother. See, they wanted me to choose, either way I would lose. Lies come in many hues, but ugliness rules. So in the end I had to stop cause the other shoe dropped. So I had to clean up the spot like a janitor's mop. But hey, I can't complain, there was no shame in my game. So when the streets are maintained, whether you come or not came, the aim of the game is to say what you mean. But even do what you feel, but make sure you keep it real and polyamory. It was another way to be, more than polygamy. It was another way to see, although we could be. And said it till it was a sleep. But everything we see ain't what it appeared to be in polyamory.
I need you to have you in my life. Don't care what people say, I'll be your otherwise. I need you to have you in my life. Don't care what people say, I'll be your otherwise. I just ain't me for you. Even if she's with you, you should be with me too. You know that I don't care, even when people stare. Your love's so good, I share. Do it, baby.
Awesome. Peace, what's up, everybody? Super Heru family. I'm your host, Aseer the Duke of Tears. That was Amor. He's saying peace. Selena Lemper to 10,000 years says peace. Dr. Saad says peace. Your Super Heru family says peace.
Peace. What's up?
What's up, man? What's up, everybody? I hope everybody's good, man. I hope the week has been interesting. It's been definitely interesting for us. It's been a non-stop plethora of, setting the record straight and dealing with things as they need to be dealt with as opposed to letting them run amok and then having to deal with the aftermath of stuff, of unresolved issues. So thanks and big up to everybody who confronts their own issues and confronts their own problems and handles it, you know what I mean, like a real stand-up woman or man, because a lot of us are running from these exchanges and these direct conflicts that sometimes inhibit how we're supposed to maintain ourselves in this society in terms of being civil or civilly literate with one another. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to say peace to everybody with that. Thank you all again for coming through and showing us support and love for the past 2.5, almost 3 years. We've been consistently doing shows, and we just want to, again, give it all respect and praise due to the Creator, the ever-present Mother, Father, Father, Mother, God, as it manifests in the form of the original black man, woman, and black child, which is the divine original Trinity, before they took the woman out and just made it 2 men and a ghost, you know what I'm saying? We definitely want to go back or, go into the true origin of that. As it is, we have been dealing with the current enemy for way too long, and I know that we can all agree that this is the time that we should be looking at and into new forms of communication, new forms of allowing ourselves to entrain and understand this knowledge, and also working on, again, not taking things personal, you know what I'm saying? Especially in situations where you know that people are doing things to make sure that you get personally affected by them. You're going to have a lot of people in your life right now that's doing things like that to draw you out, to draw you into some sort of useless diatribe, useless dialogue based on how they feel about you, and really you have no semblance or even care about, how they perceive you or whatever. However, the more self-contained, the more self-sufficient you could become, the more of a detriment and the more hostile this reality will sometimes train itself around you, due to the fact that it wants everybody subservient and dependent upon itself. They don't want anybody thinking for themselves. They don't want anybody being there for themselves. They don't want to see black men, specifically black men and black women together. And it's funny how the racism can come in such subversive, real subtle ways. Me and the Queen likes this show called So You Think You Could Dance. So, we'll watch it. So I was watching it, and what I noticed was that everybody on the show, when it comes to the couples and all of that, all of the couples that get on the show are always mixed when it comes to original people. So
like no black man and black woman can dance together.
No black man, black woman dance together, but white men and white women can dance together all day. And that's not just me looking into something and creating it. This is the programming. Seems like that's been the program for the last 8 seasons, but then I see it reflected on every other show. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the new network for the new interracial network is the E network. E for ecstasy, in the sense that on these shows now, this network is all about showing up black women and the fact that they feel that you can't maintain a healthy relationship with a black man. So they got Khloe Kardashian, they got, what's her name, Kendra Wilkinson, Bill Basket, whatever the hell his name is. They got the other chick now, it's Icy Coco, thank you, Basket, and Lamar Odom, right? The only dude who constantly, he's only surrounded by black. The only black people he fuck with is the niggas on the team, and that's even barely, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just showing improvement and saying that there is a concerted effort, and that those of us who watch these shows and watch TV or whatever, somebody needs to start hiring at the program directors or something to say that you want to start to see more black men and black women together. Because then when you go down the dial to Basketball Wives and these other shows, you see the black women on the shows talking about what they ain't going to do for no man. You know what I'm saying? How they ain't going to be there, how they hate each other, and they always fighting and all this other shit. Meanwhile, you turn this TV show and then you watch these white women, and it seems like that's the way that they want black men to just automatically think. Like, damn, well, if I got to choose between a basketball wife, you know what I'm saying, and the iced tea or cocoa, I'm going to choose the cocoa because at least she doesn't seem so scary to me. This is all part of social programming and social engineering. So this is not so much about what's on TV. It's about why it's on TV, why they want to keep showing you these images. Why is it that a black man and a black woman on TV can't be together unless they're being divorced or unless he's being locked up for beating her or some other bullshit? Like, why is this always the permeated case? And we know the obvious, but at the same token, it's to the point now where black people are starting to believe this bullshit. They're starting to think that this is the way that it is, that you have brothers. That's right. True, Madu. Peace to Madu and Queen Rasha. That's very true. They are trying to use the female. They're trying to get into her head and make her feel like she can get something new by coming up on some Saint Lathan, you know, where you can have a baby by one of these devils. So that way they can consistently put themselves in your womb, in your mind state, and basically throw you off your genetic equilibrium to then force you to conform to a world in which you have to watch your sons either become straight-up homosexuals, because that's the new shit they want black women to start doing, start turning your babies into straight-up homos. You don't believe me? Google Princess Boy and see what I'm talking about. There's a black woman in total support of her son being openly homosexual at damn near 5 years old, okay? So you mean to tell me, you know what I'm saying, this is somebody that I should look at as on the same level as a black queen as mine? No. And I don't tell you the truth, I don't even see these people, a lot of these people, as black people anymore. I'm working to entrain myself to look beyond what a person is, what an individual is promoting, and looking more on what is the fruit from the individual's or individual's labor. What is it they're producing from that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I didn't take it. You did it. So this is what I'm saying. You know, we got to get to a point in our lives where we start to be real and celebrate the fact that there is nothing wrong and that we're supposed to be together. You understand? All of these niggas that's out here with all of these white women, all of these sisters out here with all these white men, you got to start to look at them, or we should maybe start to look at them as actually doing us a favor, in the sense that if they want to be with them, they should, because that's their choice. And if they want to inhibit their own genetics by dealing in racial amalgamation at a time in which racial amalgamation is being used as a means of military application, then that means that these people are actually doing a favor for us. They're actually, this white black man who want to be with this white woman, he should do that so that way he don't basically come back and infect the rest of us with that bullshit. Now, again, this is not to say that you can't love somebody that's from a different race and all that. I'm not getting into that. I'm getting into the fact that if you're involved in that escapade in this world is going to force you to deal with the racial ramifications of it, because the Caucasoid version of us and even some of the Boule black aspects of this corrupted ideology are using the mythical aspects of race as a means to entrain racial or interracial relationships towards a certain consciousness, to be able to bleach us out mentally, so that way culturally, you know, we're not on the same vibration that we ancestrally have always been on. Our situation now is about unification. So the more we need to unify or reunify, the more we find means to break each other apart. And TV shows and media that's constantly promoting negative images of who and what we are, and the fact that we can't produce each other, to the point where they create ads on TV and public billboards with little nappy-headed black girls that says that the worst place that a black child can be is inside of a black womb. And black women ain't saying nothing about this. Nobody is just beefing. Nobody's up in arms about this shit. That is straight mind control. That is straight post-hypnotic suggestion. They are basically saying that you, black woman, your vagina is a tomb. That's what they're trying to say. They're trying to turn you into the white woman. And a lot of these black women will allow themselves to be on that just to get up, just to be materially satisfied and materially satiated by vanity and flattery. And the same goes for the men. You understand? There's no way Khloe Kardashian and none of these bitches can know what it's really like to grow up in the hood and be around niggas. There's no way this white woman can tell me, can console me when something was to happen in terms of police coming and beating me up or trying to lock me down or whatever. There's no way she can relate to that. But you have a certain segment of black people who are coming into a consciousness and they realize that they don't like being black, that they don't want to have nothing to do with the aspect of who and what black is. So they say things like, oh, well, I don't date black men, or, oh, I don't date black women. You understand? The mentality behind that as a black person saying that, you know how stupid, those of you who have said shit like that, how stupid you look to people of other races? You'll never hear an Asian woman saying that. You'll never hear an Asian woman say, I don't date Asians. You'll never hear what you call it, anybody else say shit like that. You'll never hear a Spanish person saying, oh, well, I don't date Spanish men. Like, you don't hear that. The only people race say shit like that are those who are juxtaposed between white and black. And there's a reason for that. You understand what I'm saying? There's a deep reason why they don't want you together. And whereas we should be figuring out what that reason is, we are basically buying into this shit. Well, not us, but, those of us that's not, functioning on the frequency of cohesive and cognitive thought. They just not. So here at Super Heru Radio, we want to endorse the fact that we as original people have the blood of every person in the world in us because we were here first. Therefore, I do not have to have a baby with a white woman and have a baby with good hair. Those of you black people who still believe that, stop crippling yourself genetically. Stop believing shit that genetically is unsounded. Black people do not produce Caucasoid babies. When you saw that picture of Gabrielle Bouvet on the cover of Jet, and she had them two white babies from that white man who was cheating on her from the first day that they got together. She said it. She said from the first day they got together, this white man met another woman and had a whole nother family with them. Meanwhile, he's bringing her up, and she doing interviews about how great it is to be married to a white man, all this other shit, until she found out this white man had a white woman and a whole other white family that he was paying for and doing his thing with, and now she fell on the ass out. But you think she learned? No. She with another white boy now. You see what I'm saying? Same thing Stacey Dash. Her white man was beating the shit out of her for years. For years. Same thing with Lena Horne. Same thing with Eartha Kitt. Same thing with a lot of these chicks who came up in the game, the Hollywood game, and these people. All of these people, man. These people ain't black. Like, we gotta really start to do the knowledge, man. Just because they sound black and they can rap and do little hip-hop shit, that don't mean that they black people, man. Bahana's not a black woman shooting black men in the head in videos. She ain't doing that. Why do you think she could be so famous and all of that? Because she's willing to do whatever. Beyonce ain't a black woman dressing up like a cop, arresting niggas with the white boy looking at her like, damn, you really know how to throw a nigga up against a car in her video. You know what I'm saying? Half of these chicks, these people ain't black. But this ain't because I'm saying, hey, this is you got in order to be black, you got to be this, you got to be that. No. It's just to say that culturally there's certain things that a conscious black person would not do, that even an unconscious black person would not do. You understand? Because it comes down to a point where you have to show and prove that you have some type of integrity, some type of scruples, some type of honor. A lot of our people don't invest in any of that. A lot of our people get to the point of consciousness, and then we get to understand the science of gods and goddesses, and then we start to get vain and caught up in the word God or goddess, And then we feel like, well, as I'm God, I could do what I want. I don't have nothing. Nobody could tell me shit. And that may be true, but you can't do that at the detriment of somebody else. None of us is God, or God is so much so that our actions do not affect the next person. Therefore, the nature of God is a symbiotic relationship. Therefore, the very nature of society, or the interpersonal relationships of society, is based on a certain degree of civility that we're supposed to just have, and that comes from a cultural awareness. Black people, in mass, our cultural awareness is based on how much money we got right now. This is where niggas is at, man. And unfortunately, those of us that are in the conscious thing, we even get even harder, because then we get confronted with having to almost feel like we're playing ourselves by thrusting ourselves in positions or around people that we really would not really be around if it wasn't for this consciousness. And those entities, those type of people, will use that as a means to lord over you. I never realized how much people hoarded or were threatened or were obsessed in obtaining knowledge to use against other people. I mean, you have brothers and sisters who are scholars and stuff now who research shit just in case they get challenged, they know what to say in terms of a debate. You understand? That's not the purpose. That's not what it said on the walls of Kemet. It didn't say do the knowledge to this so that way you could win the debate and you can show and prove to everybody that you know what you're talking about. No, we get this knowledge to pass it on to one another. You know what I'm saying? And help each other out of the fictitious ruts and shit that we find ourselves in, and just trying to maintain a level of cultural awareness amongst the brain dead, grave dead masses that we all exist around every day. Yet, it's more important for some people, or most people, in our society, and when I say our society, I'm talking about the specific consciousness movement that we all grew into or are a part of. It's more important to look what you're talking about than to really know what you're talking about. It's more important to sound good and make people feel good than to be good. You know what I'm saying? And that type of mentality is literally killing us. It's creating fictitious altars in people's minds and making people think that they are other things, to the point where you have cloned versions now of people in the movement. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm speaking to brothers the other day, yesterday, and they telling me how there's a whole, as is the original Washita, a whole nother Washita type of movement that's coming out of Atlanta, and these niggas is not even affiliated with the shit. But they got the same names as the people in the original Washita. So in the original Washita, you got a brother Joe, they got a fake brother Joe. You got a brother this, they got a fake brother that. So it's like they are literally mirroring people, literally becoming more. You know what I'm saying? Becoming other people just to get accolades and some sort of fame, limited fame from this work. It's like, come on, man. How far have we fallen to the point that we're cloning ourselves now? White man, that's what I'm trying to say. The so-called cracker, white man, devil, whatever you want to call him, he's the least of your worries now. You understand? Because when it goes down, you already know what you got to do to deal with him. The question is, what you going to do with them black folk, with them black white folk? You know what I'm saying? What you going to do with them? What you going to do with them black soldiers that come into your crib or that's trying to break into your crib or whatever? What you going to do with that black pig that's stopping you on the street and trying to basically beat you up quicker than the white man will? What are we going to do with them? Because these are the direct threats to people, like I said, in terms of my children. Because, again, as much as these powers that be, devils is doing shit, I don't have problems with no white people. Ain't no white people bootlegging my shit. Ain't no white people talking crap about me. Ain't no white people working campaigns or trying to figure out and find footage and archive the shit to discredit me. So why is it always our people? When and where is this self-hatred coming from? Why is it so hard for us not to take things personal from one another? How can we acknowledge ourselves as gods and some of us don't even believe in God? You know what I'm saying? And again, when I talk about religion, God don't have nothing to do with religion. It's not good, man. There's different ways for us to achieve our goals and our major ends. And there's room enough for everybody to be heard. Everybody got a voice, and everybody got something to contribute to this thing. It's just that if we are contributing a lot of problems, you know what I'm saying, or a lot of useless information, a lot of situations that's causing people to fight and be against that, at odds with one another. If you the type that you never there for no actual constructive building, but you only there when shit pop off or there's some type of beef or something, this is the type of mentality. We don't need that, because all of that is just another form of instigation. And we don't need any more instigators in our community. There's too many of us. There's too many of them for that. There's too many people, black people, who hate black people. You know? And again, I'm seeing evidence of this every day. I'm not just pulling this out of my behind, man. This is real shit. And I know everybody else see it. But sometimes when we are in the so-called conscious or positive or metaphysical community or whatever you want to call it, start to build or call things out as they really are, you have entities within the community that will say, oh, you being negative, or oh, you focusing on aspects of that, and I'm only dealing with positivity in my life. Anybody who tell you I'm only dealing with positivity in their life is a damn liar. You understand? Nobody can be totally one other than a child of God in this reality. Everybody goes through stages where they're the good guy or the bad guy. It's just, are you more of a bad guy than a good guy, or the opposite? But more important than good and bad, it's about being as righteous as you can be in the moment. Because righteousness is the only thing that allows you to see the error of your ways and the ability to apologize in situations when you have to. You know what I'm saying? So we're at a stage, like I said, in our development in which we are being confronted with the things that we did not check within our community. You know what I'm saying? We're being confronted with that which you don't deal with. So anything that you don't deal with in the past winds up coming back and working and trying to deal with you. And none of us are exempt from that. I just went through that recently. Fortunately, mine happened in a public venue. But there's no sweat off my back because, again, I'm working on to take things personally from people. And so the more you can work to do that, the more you start to see that a lot of conflicts that arise are really arising around you because there's an aspect of you that can glean the greater understanding from it. It's in the song As when Stevie Wonder said, well, when you're in the world, you can be in it, but not of it. These are heavy metaphysical concepts that were passed down to us in griot form, you know. Yet, due to the a lot of things being lost in translation, we a lot of times just start blaming each other for shit. And not realizing that we're all affected by our highs and our lows. As much as I don't want to be associated with certain people, just based on my skin color, just based on what I do, just based on me, let's say, being in a tape with somebody, people will automatically associate me with this person or these people. Therefore, in order for me to maintain my own individuality, I have to protect myself, my image, my persona, and who I associate that with in the world, because I don't want to give people the wrong idea. Not so much that I care about what people think, but for the fact that you, or I should say each one of us, is responsible for the energy that we put out. And we all know misery loves company. So if you're around a bunch of miserable people and you positive, and you're really positive, there's going to be a point where you can't be around them. If anything, just due to the fact that you know that these energies or entities are not on the same frequency as you. But we, as black people, have been given this step and fetch it, take what you can get mentality, scrap mentality, that we sometimes, just to be included in shit, will play ourselves and will stay silent about a lot of shit. Just that way we're not on the outside of shit. But that's not who the future and the torchbearer society is supposed to do. We're not followers. Marcus Garvey said, "Up, you mighty race." So how we go from that to being a minority? He said, "Look for me in the whirlwind." You know how many whirlwinds, tornadoes, typhoons, this shit has been going on? So did Pac. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I put it up. So, there's a lot of different realities and a lot of different things and speculations about who we are and all this other stuff that come out. But in the end, man, this is not really, it's like, sometimes like I see peace. I peep it, man. That's right. And that's what it be sometimes. Like people, you'll see people, how many times have you, those of us in the Super Heru family, been building with somebody, consciousness, and then something happened and you don't necessarily rock with that person anymore, whatever. And then now that that's the case, they ain't fucking with you no more, so they ain't fucking with the knowledge no more. That means that them people was never your friends and they was never into the knowledge. They was only into gleaning it off of you, using you as a sponge, using you as a battery, and then going in their ciphers and their communities and literally acting and being you. That's not fair. What part of the game is that? Like I said, when I was growing up in the hood, growing up in the game, you couldn't say somebody else's rap song. That's what made hip-hop so different. Yeah, that's true. But see, that's also why they don't want to come fully out against all black people in mass like that, because they know that if they was to do something like that, something in us will come online within the species mind pattern that will activate the X-Men shit, and they know that they will have no ability to thwart that. So the way of control of people like us is through constant bombardment. We're constantly besieged. We're constantly in situations where we're being put in a matter of fictitious choices. And then based on us making a choice, we feel like we're actually in control of something, and it's the total opposite. If I give you the choices, then how are you really making choices for yourself? So like I said, if you have a choice or preference in potato chips, you have 50 million brands of potato chips you can get. You want a type of car, there's 50 million cars you could get. But you want a clothes, a shoe, or whatever else. For anything frivolous, you get mad choices. But when it comes to real shit, real pertinent things, you only get two. Oh, well, I want a president. You know what I mean? Oh, well, you choose between this one and that one. You know what I mean? Oh, well, I want a non-corruptible mayor, a non-corruptible government. Oh, well, if you don't support this, then, hey, you can't support nothing. There will be anarchy if we don't have a two-pole system. But America as a country was never founded as a two-party system. Their own dictator, Washington, told them in a book that you could get called Washington Patriotism. George Washington, Patriotism. And in the book, he said that the corruption and the degradation of the republic will come if they allow parties to advocate for seats of power within the republic. So, it is what it is. All of us are in the crucible right now. A crucible in alchemy is the little vessel or beaker that's connected to the furnace that allows the philosopher's stone to be accentuated and hopefully turn from a base of metal, from a base substance into gold. Speaking of gold, there was a guy named Strauss-Kahn a couple of weeks ago from the IMF who got busted trying to allegedly rape this black woman, this African woman who was a maid at this hotel. Now, he was the president of the IMF at the time. Now, the thing about him is he's known in this country as a womanizer and stuff like that already. But he ain't never been caught up in no rape or whatever. But being the head of the IMF means, and him being a Strauss-Kahn, Strauss, that's some German stuff, Nazi. Kahn is king. So you're talking about a version of, let's say symbolically, the German king of the IMF, who is now dethroned by seeking to have his way with, let's say, a peasant to them, right? But political intrigue and the way that the game is going now, there's always a reason. Why would the head of the whole show be treated like a common, rapist? They always do stuff like that when they're trying to deject someone of great standing in their society, because that's another form of warfare. Business is just business. In business is warfare. Only difference is instead of guns, you use numbers. You know what I'm saying? And instead of countries, you basically use corporations. So one thing that's funny about Strauss-Kahn was that a week prior to the whole incident, he was down on Wall Street, and then for some reason took a trip out to Fort Knox. And allegedly, one of the things he discovered was that the gold in Fort Knox is not even real gold. That all of the gold, well, now I don't say all of the gold, but a lot of the gold in the United States or whatever that they've been holding for, they've been switching out for inferior metal. And the fact that this is also contributing to that all of this gold, in a sense, being swapped for inferior gold, or like not instead of 100% gold, it'll be like the brick, instead of 100% Cougaron or 100%, let's say, gold bar or whatever, it'll be like 50% gold and 50% something else. But it looked just like a gold bar. You know what I mean? So in doing an answer to that, allegedly he was about to go back and tell the people in his country and all of that what was really hood with it, and that the fact that this coincided, the switching of this gold coincided with the whole stimulus thing and the whole run on the banks that was made by the United States government, by the UN in the form of the IMF, in the form of the United States government. So it seems to me, of course, any type of whistleblower, as they call it, is going to get sanctioned. So they hit him with the biological weapon in the form of a woman being used as a weapon against him. Now, this is not to say that he didn't do it, because these people are animals, so they do or feel that they could do whatever they want. But it is to say that if it wasn't for him, talking about the whole gold switch, he might have got away with it. See what I'm saying? The rape. Now, coincidentally, this is all was kind of coinciding with the emergence of a lot of people they've been looking for all these years, and all of a sudden they finding them. So they find him, They find Bin Laden, wink, wink. Now they just found the dude, Bolger. Now, Bolger was a paid asset of the FBI. They gave this dude money. They participated in killing people with this dude. And they even made it a movie about it called The Departed. It's a great movie. Jack Nicholson character is Bolger in that movie. And DiCaprio and Damon represent. Well, Damon represents the cop, one of the two cops that was down with the whole thing. So essentially, what we're talking about is them now pulling out all of their red herrings to start to throw different people out there to show like they actually doing something. So just to show that no matter how long it takes, we'll get you and all of that. But remember, all of the enemies of the United States were created by the United States. Like we said last week's show, Al-Qaeda itself started out as the name of the database that was used by CIA as a means to keep track of all of the Arabic assets that they created during the creation of the Mujahideen during the war between Russia and the Afghanis, which was a Cold War in which the Afghanis were funded by the United States, CIA, Mossad, and Egyptian Secret Service. Pakistani Secret Service. So Egypt, Pakistan, Israel, United States all put up money and arms and stuff to train the Afghanis how to fight the Soviets to kick them out. But any Afghanis that were captured by the Soviets could not be found with United States weapons, because that would then act as a pretense to war. You understand? Because at the time, the United States had a treaty, a pact with Russia that they would not interfere with each other's empirical agendas. So, CIA goes to Mossad and asks them to give them the weapons Soviet weapons that they already had in stock from the war between Israel and Egypt, in which Egypt was funded by, arm-wise, was funded by Russia, and the United States at the time was funded by Israel. But now during this war in the 80s between Russia and the United States, they can't be found with United States weapons. So CIA goes to Egypt, goes to Israel, who at the time were enemies, and gets them to give them Russian arms that they can then ship out, and rocket launchers, RPGs, to then send out to the Russians, to the Afghanis to do their thing. So you see, the seeds of everything that's going on now is based upon the duplicitousness of the United States. Because what the United States will do, they'll sell you the plane, but they won't sell you the radar that you need to localize the target. You got to pay extra for that. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll sell you the components for the nuclear device, but they won't sell you the codes to actualize it. You got to pay more money for the code. And that's what they do. But all of these weapons are being manufactured by Lockheed Martin, Halliburton. Blackwater even has its own weapons dispensary and ammunition factory. Matter of fact, any auto factory in the United States can be converted into a military weaponry making factory within 30 minutes. Anyone, Sears, GM, anyone that's in the United States, that's part of the contract and part of corporate bylaws that you got to be able to allow them to do that if they need to do that. So this, like I said, is the pretense for what we are living through today, because the war we're dealing today is the same war that they was fighting back then, because the same people are involved. This dude, when he said he was going to be president, said he was going to do it totally new, with totally new people. How are you going to do it totally new and totally new people when everybody that's in your cabinet has ties to the people who set it up in the first place? So it used to be countries would go at war based on need, necessity. Now countries go on war for profit. You see? It has nothing to do with necessity. There's no reason why. And they've destroyed the infrastructure of the United States or the country to do so. Everything in your supermarket comes from at least 20,000 miles away. You know what I'm saying? When it used to be, you could go to your corner store or go to your corner or your farm or your neighborhood farm or your state farm and get what you needed. They made everything convenient stores. As a form to show some sort of societal progress. But luxuries and technological luxuries do not equate technological advancements. Technological advancements are there to enhance and better the civilization as a whole. Civilization on a whole does not necessarily benefit from an iPhone unless the iPhone is being used to capture visually something that can help someone else. Yet, the type of iPhones that these people got and these people using is totally different than the ones you got. Their iPhones is like on some teleportation level. You use this shit, you dial a number, and then you go to where the person is at. And I'm being facetious, but I'm being kind of real, too. They got stuff like that. But they ain't giving it to us. You ain't going to be able to go to the Apple store and get that. How come? We all in the same society, right? No. Because our society and capitalism is based on class. And that class is based on caste. And at the top of that racial caste in this society is still the so-called Caucasian archetype, which is still the archetype being perpetuated as God in the physical realm around the world. And people who do not conform to that, or people who want to conform to that archetype, are killing each other and themselves to maintain it. Because that archetype equates money. Therefore, the God of these people is money. Even we as conscious know that in order for us to do anything to promote this consciousness, we still, in a sense, have to use that which other people find relevant. In order to take their debt and turn it into our credit. But we won't be able to do that if half of us is undermining the other half that's trying to break away. So, Elijah Muhammad, the stuff that I read in Message to the Black Man, never said anything about voting or any of that shit. It was the exact opposite of that. Yet, today, we are discussing, in certain circles, are being discussed the merging of the Church of Scientology and the Nation of Islam. What's that about? How do we get to this? At the time that the Message of the Black Man came out, L. Ron Hubbard was being tried for murder. You know what I'm saying? Based on them crazy rituals he was doing with Crowley and Parsons and us. Yet the Church of Scientology is one of the biggest cult corporations in the world. But all of its top members are Jesuits. So again, all roads lead to Rome in the end. So everybody know that, but everybody's still going there and glorifying these people and giving these people credit. Like we said before, the most Roman Catholics in the world is in Africa. How did that happen? How can that be when Coptic Christianity is the oldest and truest indigenous form of the worship of Jesus, Eosis, Isa, Yehoshua, the Christ that has existed, to the point that the Pope, same Pope who made the Concordant agreement with the Nazis, blessed the bombs that Mussolini dropped over Ethiopia. Yet the racism between, let's say, certain people from the Ethiopian community in America, you know, in comparison to black Americans is horrible. Because everybody want to be a certain type of black. Everybody want they black and they type of black to be, you know, just that much better than everybody else black. You know what I'm saying? Light-skinned people do it, dark-skinned people do it, brown-skinned people do it. So everybody want to be black, but they want to have a little European or Mexican or Chinese or something else, you know. So it's more acceptable to be mixed. But then if you ask them, well, what mixed mean? Mixed, what does that mean? What nationality is that? They, you know, there's nothing. But they'd rather be that than just saying they black. So they'll say shit like, oh, my father's, you know, half Trinidadian, you know, half Trinidadian, half Black American, and half Asian. Oh, so you black. Or I'm Puerto Rican and Dominican. Oh, so you black. You know, I'm Chinese, you know, I'm black and Chinese. Oh, you black. That's what I hear when they, you know. So whatever they're saying is based upon their own issues with the melanin or the amount of conscious melanin to unconscious melanin warring within them. But the white man will tell you, if your mama black, if one of your parents is black, you black. Because I can't do nothing but you. All I can do to you or get you to do is corrupt yourself. Is corrupt yourself and dispose of any remnants of who you really are. Anybody who would rather define themselves as a word of art rather than being a being, you know, is twisted in some way. You know what I'm saying? Hey, buddy. Good night, buddy.
I am going to bring you stories in the room.
Yeah. You know, so, you know, that's what I'm trying to say. No matter if anybody black ain't feeling you black. You know what I'm saying? And we, as what makes us as original black people, Autochthon, indigenous black people in America so special, so-called special, is because we got the blood of everybody in the world in us without having to be them. We're the only people in the planet that can do that, that can say that. I know brothers that if you saw them in the street, you would think they was from Mali or something like that. No, they from Brownsville. They from, you know what I'm saying? Which is one of the last strongholds, big up to Brownsville, it's one of the last strongholds of original black people in the world. People be banging and going against the gangs and trying to shit on the gangs, but the gangs going to be America's last hope, man. I'm telling you, because these foreign soldiers and these clone soldiers and all of these different projects that they are working and setting up around us that the so-called black elite are just going along with, and the degrading imagery that we're bombarded with to keep us in a complacent, apathetic state is not changing, yet our consciousness is rising. So a quickening is happening regardless of whether or not we want to accept it or not. So whether you want to be black or not, the part of you that is conscious black and sentient black is going to force you to acknowledge it. And either you will or you won't. But when I say black, I'm not talking about the European version or the Caucasoid, you know, courtroom, fictionalized, ancient Germanic root of the philosophical, you know, Pythagorean concept of black as a dejective, conjunctive. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to get to the point where within our own dialogue we already get past stuff like that, because we are who we are, and we are who we always going to be. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, yeah, everything. Without hating on what anybody else is. Like, just because we feel how we feel culturally about what we feel does not mean that I am seeking to impose that view and how I feel on somebody else. You know what I'm saying? By force or by some means of subversion or coercion. I'm just saying that I'm just about what I'm about. Primarily, my audience is my people, because that's who I come from. If other people want to get down with that, that's great. That's great. If they agree, then that's better for us. But I'm not going to necessarily conform what I'm doing or what I'm saying, because what I'm saying don't really apply to them. I'm talking to the people who I came up with. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into a call. Oh, wait, real quick. I wanted to run into this, too. So there's a lot going on since we were talking about the whole reptilian aspect of society and the representation of that in iconography and architecture and things like that. The symbolic and literal reference of that being descended from, in some people's view, in certain sects like Nuwapians, they believe that through the holy tablets or whatever, that there was a type of human referred to as Trudun, or what they also refer to as the gibbon monkey. Now, the gibbon monkey can be also attributed to Negro Javara Araba super chimpanzee that they say was grafted, that became the lycanthropy, vampiric aspect of Caucasian genetics. But a lot of that energy, aside from what was written in the tablets by York, is also in a lot of Caucasian literature, in which they try to tie themselves and the whole thing up with the Nagar people. But the whole serpentine reptilian aspect of what we perceive as indigenous Sambo-Judasia, a.k.a. Southeast Asia culture, came from the Nagar people. And the Nagar people had a direct relationship with us over here. The serpentine and reptilian aspect of the DNA that they were dealing with and was celebrating was the glorification of the activation of the Kundalini Shakti, as it becomes a hood that rises in 7 rays on 7 snakes above the head and creates the Unavamana Prana, Unavamana Prana, which is the unification of the true self, non-physical, with the physical self. The reptilian, the way that they did this was through sex and through the ritualization of the sex through a form of what we today call Tantra, that they depicted on a lot of the glyphs in places like Borobudur and Angkor Wat and Khmer Wat and what is now Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, places like that. Which is why, again, during Vietnam, when the black man went back under the mind control as God, the Nagar, coming back under the jurisdiction now of this false God, the Vietnamese, who now saw that this was going on were trying at sometimes through paraphernalia and propaganda give to black soldiers evidence of their culture, who they are, by showing them pictures and taking them, kidnapping them, bringing them to the statues and shit, and showing them, yo, this is who you really are. What are you doing here, fighting for this insane man or whatever? And a lot of these black men took that and actually, joined up with the Kong and other shit. You know what I'm saying? And actually stayed and set up there. That's how Frank Lucas was able to have his shit pop. You know what I'm saying? So eventually, what we're saying is that by their representation and manipulation of the reptilian section of the brain, by enhancing it and bringing a full brain experience, they were able to project themselves and see how we would be living now. So a lot of this stuff was being purported, in history as it came down. Once the white man came and made up his version of it, he basically made it like, okay, there were these black aliens, and the evidence of it is these snakes coming from behind them and aspects of that, and we're going to link that up with the Trondonosaurus, the walking raptor type dinosaur, which they don't even really know existed or even is like that. You understand, at the time that dinosaurs and things like that existed, people existed as well. Society, civilization has always been here. Yet they want you to believe, because at the time, again, the oxygen level was so rich and high, it went higher in diameter as well as linearly up into the stratosphere. The oxygen level was much richer, so people and things were much bigger. You understand? So just as you had dinosaurs that size, you had people that size too. Evidence of that to this day. Yet, because we are in the form that we are in today, we believe that this is the form that we have always been in, and we are always going through philosophical, deep genetic changes through time, which sometimes were bigger, sometimes were smaller, based on atmospheric conditions. That's why the better or more optimum the atmospheric conditions are, the better we are genetically, physically, mentally, spiritually, everything else. Yet the more deteriorated the atmospheric conditions are, the more confined they are, the harder it is for us to maintain. So creativity becomes a function of survival of the soul as a means of expression, as opposed to just expression. They used to make movies, so even when the Dogons talk about the Nomos and the Ogdoads and stuff like that, time is the teacher for all of this, and it will be. And there's a lot of things that we are holding on to in terms of from the mouths of some of these ancient people, when all this time, when at the same time they have been telling us this or these things for different reasons. Not saying these reasons are bad or nefarious, but it's just to say that based on the conscious level that they're dealing with, they're not going to, even when they give you and deal with you on the truest concept of what it is, there's still, the priest is only going to give you a certain amount of understanding on that. So when he's talking about the reptilians that came from space, who mated with men, and he can show you a star system in which they come from and all of that or whatever, he can show you all of that, but if you ask that same priest to activate the reptilian aspect in his DNA to be able to shift into that, he can't do that. Because what we think as reptilian shifting and stuff like that is being accentuated by this society that primary function is to turn the reptilian section of the brain into the higher reasoning section of the brain instead, and then allowing the higher reasoning section of the brain to basically become lethargic and crazy or incapacitated. So that way the reptilian sexual brain is what you're always functioning from. So those people who feel like they got to have this physical sex all the time, that's a reptilian compulsion that is a means that you have a lot of physical energy that needs to be expended in other forms other than just having sex, because the more sex you have, the more that you got to have. And then it turns into an addiction. But sex has never been an addiction in society. Sex started to become an addiction during the Victorian era, which was the same era that they created pornography, based on the stringent sexual laws enforced on Caucasian society due to the, let's say, reptilian section of it, the so-called elite bankers, who were using their aggressiveness behind the scenes, but to the public they had to appear like uptight, or real, conservative or whatever businessman, which is the rule of thumb to this day. So the practice, or one of the religious practices of people in that way of thought and in that society, is to be able to let's say, cut somebody's head off, but at the same time be able to, give $1 million to, a charity or become a philanthropist and things like that. In their society, that is a sign to show that, you are balancing both ends of the scale, being totally, let's say, amoral. So they could be, somebody like Hitler could do the most heinous and whatever acts, but there were some people in his life whom he was very caring and endearing to, that he was very vulnerable with, just like any one of their so-called world conquerors or whatever, because that's part of the ritual of going through that experience. That's what goes with it, just like the experience of, being addicted to heroin. There's certain things that go with that. The experience of, skydiving is a certain way. The experience is common to those people who have experienced that realm or level of reality or society. Yet people who have not can only speculate about what those things are. Yet speculation does not mean that what you're speculating on may or not be true. It just means that if you were put in a situation to have to, let's say, bring a physical piece of evidence, or let's say, well, where's the picture of it? You can't really do that. So they practice this in all forms of their society. So like in archaeology, to hide all of the Moorish pictures that was, out there, they basically said, oh, well, the Moors, they did all this great architecture, but they didn't make pictures of themselves because that was against, the religion of Islam, which is true. But the Moors in Granada and Spain and those places, and Salamanca and Sardinia and, Venice and these places, they weren't Sunnis like that. They were more like us. But they just had wealth and power to be able to do shit. So imagine you having a fleet and a navy and all this other type of shit in the castle to be able to build and investigate the stuff that we're talking about now. That's how it's supposed to be. So we get into some questions. 347, Super Heru Radio. Peace.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm just listening.
Peace, what's up? Oh, what's up? No doubt, King. Thank you. Peace, you want Super Heru Radio? 770. 211. You're in Super Heavy Radio. Anybody? (219) You're in Super Heavy Radio.
Peace, I said, what's up, man?
Peace, what's up, G?
This is Black Intelligence. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, King? Good to hear from you, man. How you been?
I'm pretty good, man. I wanted to give you a comment, man, when you was building on Whitey Bulger. As soon as you said that, I'm sitting here watching a documentary on this dude. It's a documentary of a joint. Yeah, like right as you were saying that documentary was on something, watching the documentary, and they going in on how, you know, he was working with the FBI, but they brought up something like when he did his first prison term, that he went through the whole CIA LSD experiment.
See?
So,
See?
Right.
See? Sold them up. Project Phoenix.
Yeah.
And say Ultra.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You see?
Right.
Because those were the programs running concurrently at that time. So they're saying that the United States is complicit in him being a criminal. Yet nobody is going to take the United States to court and prosecute them. And that's the problem.
Exactly.
With the society. The people have no enforcement capability. The people are acting like they free and they doing little shit, but the people themselves is not. Like the people, like when we rebelled back in the days, it was for like small shit. It was for like, because at the time of the so-called Boston Tea Party and all that, when you read the real history books of the time, there's a book called Cavaliers and Yankees, and they talk about that, and they talk about there's a section there where they talk about what's going on in the North, and they talked about how at the time of the Boston Tea Party shit, some of the taxes was actually being decreased. They was actually taking them out because of some of the deals that the local lords, quote unquote, was making with the king.
Right.
And so it seemed like that the people who were involved in it basically needed to have something else, and that the tea, again, we all know, was the roost when they was really looking for the charter to be able to set up a lodge, but the lodge, eventually, each lodge is associated with a bank. You know what I mean? So if you look at every lodge in the United States, and you look at what banks they use, you will see a pattern of certain banks that are used by certain lodges. And now it show you that the money trail that these banks, that Bank of America, Wells Fargo, these things that were set up post-Civil War are the same banks that they are using now, you know what I'm saying, that are now owned by the government, owned by Goldman Sachs, which is then owned by the government, which is then owned by the IMF, which is then owned by the UN, which is then owned by the Vatican, which is then owned by Britain, which is then owned by the Vatican. You know? So this dude Bolger, so they're going to get another one. They're going to pull somebody else out the hat now. They're going to get some next dude they've been looking for mad long. This is going to be the new thing. Because now this is what they say, see, we got this dude, you know? But then
we got
say,
one
but who? Right. But then they say, because they caught the so-called two dudes that was working with him in the unit, they act like it was just them.
Right.
And now we got rid of them two dudes, so we've been clean ever since. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they said dude did 11 hits. Doing when he was in the FBI, well, he was an informant for the FBI. He did 11 hits. He had 21 in all, but he did 11 hits while he was down with the FBI.
Wow. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is the United States government. So where's the money? Who paid for that? Who was the president during that time? Who was in charge of CIA at the time? George Bush.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
And they said his brother, Bulger's brother, while that was going on, Bulger's brother was in charge of the debate, the presidential debate between Gore, you know what I'm saying, between Gore and Bush. I'm like, why he's on the run? So when they bring him into court, he pleads the fifth. Like, I don't, I gotta use my Fifth Amendment. I ain't gonna say nothing, 'cause So.
You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? The fix is in. The fix is always in. The government is here to kill people. The government is not here to help people. Helping people is an incidental thing they have to use in order to kill people. That's the purpose of government.
Right.
It's not that.
Right.
I say it's like that. This is what all governments do. So the only time that governments did not do that was a time prior to a certain entity appearing on the planet. And I don't need a Bible or a book or anything to show me that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas if amongst my people I can say that and they understand, even the most brain-dead Henry Gates, boule cracker black man, when you say, if somebody would say, well, all of the things that they've been doing is just been based on the fact that there are beings that are out of sync with themselves first. Therefore, feel out of sync with everything else. You could understand that just based on the behavior and interaction with everything on the planet. Not just black people. Everything on the planet got a bone to pick with the white man. Ants, gnats, everything. Because this beast has, and that's the buzzword now, if you notice, a lot of people using that word now in their raps and on TV. You're a beast, you're a glorious beast. This is the new buzz thing because, again, they're degenerating and exacerbating the reptilian section of the brain because they want you to believe that you are a reptilian. So that way, again, your mind now stops functioning from a higher perspective and you start functioning from a perspective and start to think like a damn dinosaur. So if that's what you believe, that means what's the difference between believing you come from a dinosaur and believing you come from a monkey? Nothing.
Right.
But if you want to believe that, then what you're also saying is that God is a monkey and that God is a reptile. And God is a monkey and a reptile on an existential, metaphysical, symbolic, cosmic sense, totemic sense. But if I'm created in the image of this same God, then that means that I'm not a monkey. That means that God could not be that as an archetypical form. So if you want me to believe that I evolved from that or devolved from that, then what you're telling me is that that is God, right, and I'm not now. You see?
Right.
So if that's the case, people should start worshiping pictures of reptilians with dressed up as Jesus instead of some of these orishas and stuff. If that's what's really good, and if that's the case, then if the people in Kemet who understood that or the Dogon understood that, how come they didn't make iconography and pictographs and hieroglyphs looking like reptilians?
Right. That's true. But that might be the next move for them, Have Jesus as a, reptile, That might be, you wouldn't be surprised, Because, some of these guys, they don't believe in God, They crazy. So,
a lot of that shit came from this white dude named Valdo Valerian, this other dude named Dale Russell, another dude named what's this dude's name? Alios Kelfis and a couple other people, But really, when we go down to that, the original pictures of that came from a picture that Crowley drew of an entity called Lamb, which served as the initial archetype for the gray and initial then archetype of the reptilian hybrid that come out of that. So the reptilian aspect is connected to the, Kundalini Shakti in the form of the sexual arousal and desire that can be drawn from that and then be brought up through the spinal column up into a higher perspective, which culminates in the orgasm, which is the magic between and unification between both sides of God. Yet they want us to believe, again, that we, again, did things to emulate us being that. So the only real images you see of dragons and stuff like that exist in two cultures. Well, you see dragons in all cultures, but dominantly in media, you see it in China and Britain or Europe.
Yeah.
You know, and those were two
That's
sections
true.
that were run by like the so-called green dragon, which was the same dragons run out of Ireland, which today would be referred to as the original Celtics, Druidics, Hallstatt Celts. There's another name they got, but they got all these names to just not say, more of the black people. But all of these names are these post-Rome, modern Europe forms of government then adopted by those Caucasians who deposed the ancient landowners through the war in masonry known as the ancients and the moderns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all like, all these dudes is just, like, I hear you, like, I get it, but then at the same time, again, this also leads credence to the whole blue beam thing they want to flip with the fake alien invasion. So on one hand, you have the Greys, who are like the good guys, and then you have like the reptilians, who's like the bad guys, when they both the same thing. They both the same damn hologram.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then because now we have been sensitized to believe that there's an aspect of us that correlates to that, you see, we then allow a certain degree of psychic attraction to be, which we then become willing hosts, you see what I'm saying, to this agenda that really had nothing to do with the true Nagar Kundalini chemical thing that was going on in us at the time, that these things, that they will choose to manifest these things. So we focusing on all of that shit and the hologram and all the crazy shit going on instead of feeling all what's going on in us. So we feel what's happening to us at that time is now somehow triggered by what's happening on the outside when it's the reverse. The outside shit is just there to stop you from focusing on what's happening to you internally. You know?
Distractions.
We don't even believe in the possibility of that shit.
Right.
We'd rather get a gun and then go shoot a cop or some dumb shit.
Right.
Knowing that ain't going to do nothing.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
You know?
Like in the mask, if everybody ready to go in on the man and all that today, let's do it. But if not, I'm going to go out and keep selling my coat and keep doing my shit because these niggas are not going to want to do nothing. And that's real. I'm down with that more than I'm down with, you got to turn the other cheek and allow people to just be who they are and just do you and all that. Like, that's cool. Yet at the same time, if it's now infringing on me and the people, then what?
Right. Got to defend ourselves.
Yes.
Got to.
Yes. Yeah.
Got to. But most of these guys, and especially the conscious community, they ain't going to do nothing. So they going to leave everybody hanging, ready, They ain't going to do nothing. I know a lot of people want to, knock some of the street guys to keep them close, Keep them close.
Indeed.
You're going to need them one day. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed, man. I'm telling you. Don't sleep on them bloods. Them Crips you see out there, if they ain't fucking with you, don't go to them out. Oh, they doing this, they doing that. Let them do their own thing. If they going to hurt each other and do that, that's their, and that's for their parents to deal with.
Right.
But there is no parents. All the parents working or trying to get money somewhere else or in the street with them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. So I'm gonna let you get to some more calls. I'm gonna let you get some more calls,
brother.
G. So
thank you for
I'll
that.
Let you.
Thank you for that synchronicity. That was dope.
For sure. Okay. Peace.
Well, I want to lose what, Mama?
443. You want Super Heru Radio?
Hey, peace, King.
Peace, King. How you doing, man?
How you doing, man? Hey, look.
I'm all right, man. One day at a time.
Much love to you, dog. You know what I'm saying? Yo,
what's going on, man? What's up?
Hey, man, I'm always with you, dog. You hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah. For real, man. Hey, look, Father's Day might have come and gone, but I got your message. You know what I'm saying? So it's all good.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, long time no talk to you like in the flesh.
Indeed. Right?
Yeah. Indeed. Huh?
I say you sound well.
Yeah. Hey, for real, dog. Like, look, man, I'm like real well. Trust me on that. You know what was going down? I don't know, man. I couldn't figure it out, like chemtrails or whatever. But anyway, it's all good. I'm just glad to be able to talk to you, man, and like, you know, it's on and popping on my end. You know me. You know what I'm saying? A little less militant, but still what's what. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed, man. I dig it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, look. I'm so strong right now, cuz. So strong. So we're going to leave that for another show. Anyway, look. Hey, look. Peace to your queen, man. And little man, I got in the background what you're going to be hearing is all the great-great-grands, dog.
All right. Someone said peace.
Yeah. Hey, look, man. One thing. Give me your take on the orgone and the so-called orgone generators or whatever it is, crap that's going on. I don't want to call it crap. I'm just saying. I want your take on what is orgone. Is it beneficial to your conscious community or the so-called conscious community? Because I don't know. There's so much stuff going on now, and I ain't. If I was to like start scratching it with the level of what I'm doing here, I don't even know nobody else said nobody to listen to or to get any real knowledge but you. But then I got to tone them down so they can even accept or even get to where you are. You feel me? What I'm saying?
Indeed. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man. It's like, look, the orgone energy, can we use it? Is it beneficial for us to even make it? Also with the dependents or whatever, because I'm dealing with a lot of people. When I'm dealing with a lot of stuff is where it's like, where I'm at, man, it's like I got some cancer patients. I got co-workers or whatever else. With me, King, you know what time it is with me. Dr. M. Now, I don't know who that other dude was on there a long time ago, whatever, 2 or 3 weeks back. That sure wasn't me. That wasn't your family. Yeah. I'm your family. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I'm your family. You gave me that. You dig what I'm saying? So it's on and popping. Yeah. For real. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He's kind of like, huh?
There's a book called The Orgone Accumulator Handbook, and it's by a guy named James DeMio, and it's got a foreword in it by Eva Reich. Now, Eva Reich was the wife of Wilhelm Reich, and Wilhelm Reich, Nikola Tesla, and a couple of other people, Pasteur, and a couple of other these guys, all dealt with a lot of the secret technology that their families had inherited as the beneficiaries of the destruction of dismemberment of the old Moorish Empire. So the information was passed down to their family. So by the time we got to Wilhelm Reich, he started to do the knowledge for orgone. Orgone itself is the accumulated energy that is bioluminescent in nature that comes into being through the exertion of physical bodies. So, you know, when people who ever made out in a car with somebody, you know, after a while, let's say 15 minutes in, the whole car is all foggy and almost wet, like it's wet. That's orgone doing that. So there's the orgone accumulator that allows an individual to harness huge amounts of orgone from either people or the environment to be able to enhance the body's organ levels, which then allow you to, again, access more of the 98% of the brain that allegedly most people don't use, and so forth and so on. And that energy means can be translated into a means of sustenance. So they have organ accumulators under and in stage stadiums. So when people are going through it and, at the climax and stuff like that, all of the organ accumulators under the venue or in the venue or around the venue is channeling that energy through the fiber optics into a chamber that they are able to do stuff with it. But not everybody knows that that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So there could be people they could have people who build it and don't even know that that's what they build, and that's how they are able to get away with shit. And those people that find out, they kill them.
Right.
So Wilhelm Reich saw, one second. He saw Josephine Baker dance in France. And
that's
he
how he
noticed
got
his
the whole
level
deal. That's how he got the whole deal.
Of organ raised up. And then in courting her and trying, because she was a French agent. And she basically funneled information to him or whatever, and, they had their little relationship or whatever. But in the process of that, he wound up hooking up with another black woman and then created the experiments to channel the organ and created the organ accumulator, to the point that the Nazis found out about this shit and went and moved on him, Tesla, Franz Bourdon, and the rest of them, where they had to escape. And they killed him and took his research. But then after World War II, during the Odessa OSS rat line Operation Paperclip shit, they brought all of that information back over here. So through the family, the United States now has tried to take the patent on it, where if you try to open it and research it, you could go to it's like a federal crime and shit. So if you want to research Wilhelm Reich and all of that, you got to go through channels that's sanctioned by them, because they don't really want people to get into that. But like I said, there's a book called the Organ Accumulator Handbook by James DeMeo. You can make one. It's real simple. It's real simple too. And after you make it, you sit in it and you soak it up and you feel it. It has the same iron as pressure.
Can you lay this out for? Do me a favor. Lay it out for the people that are seeing what they're seeing on YouTube and various other places on the internet, as far as making the smaller devices and having them in their possession. We got some charlatans, and we got some that are considered to be pretty much, good at this and so forth like that. I just want your take on that, as far as making the smaller devices. As we as conscious people, we're not interested in throwing shit at no towers. I ain't got time to be playing with nobody's cell towers and all that. We as a people ain't got time to be playing with that. If it's going to be, we already know what it is, because you just laid it out, and I know what it is. You dig what I'm saying? It is our queen's energy. That's what time it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like a vortex type thing, whatever, But anyway, the smaller things as far as making the devices and using them to utilize, as far as putting them on altars and to put them in rooms and to benefit from the energy to give us better meditation. I'm being nice. You dig what I'm saying? You know who I am, right? I'm being nice. It's to give us a better meditational room, or a nice gridded apartment, or a gridded townhouse where everything begins to calm down and we can chill all the bullshit that goes on within the family circle or whatever atmosphere. You feel me, right? Is it worth them making
the first thing anybody can start to do is look around you at the people in your life. Look at what they contribute to your life. If they're not contributing anything to your life in which that helps you be a better person, that means they're feeding on you, and there's something detrimental about the relationship. And if they're the type of people that you can't really, if you're around people that you can't fully express yourself around, then there's a certain degree of disassociation that you're going to have in that relationship. whether it's a romantic relationship or not. So if you can trust this person, if you don't trust this person to have a key to your house, but you'll have sex with this person, and something's wrong with you. It's not the person, it's you. You don't value yourself enough you value your outside enough and your inside too little. You know what I'm saying? Or if it's the reverse.
Right.
If you've been with a person for mad years and a person is really showing you that they're there for you, and then you, based on your own, hurt or trauma from past relationships, whatever, try to hurt this person or inadvertently create a negative outcome of that relationship, then that's something that's soul-wise you're going to have to pay for. So let's stop creating soul debts in which we owe each other a karmic apology by treating each other better in the present. It's like I said, if you have a problem with me, talk to me directly. Don't try to create an outside venue and bring other people to a situation, to some type of opinion that only you have of me, and it's not based on anything irrelevant. So in the end, it really boils down to let's say the Crowleyites and the Randolphs. You know what I mean? The people who was fucking with the spiritual stuff like Randolph was doing it, and the people that was doing it like Crowley was doing it. And the problem with things now is that through buzzwords like metaphysics, occult, esoterics, masonry, Freemasonry, all of that falls under the headline of conspiracy. So the people who are really using all of that stuff as a means to enhance their power base are more than willing to allow people to get caught up in the conjecture of all of that while they promote through propaganda ways for us to give more of ourselves to their reality. But their reality is already over. Yet we are acting as if there's a point in which we're going to have to fight to do that. And that may happen. Yet we can make what we want happen if we all choose. Let's say if everybody, all the black people or all the people in the world write a script or write a story, and everybody in the world agreed that they was going to read that story or whatever the script was to their children.
You sound like,
one generation.
You sound like Dog, dog.
You know what I'm saying? If that's the story they read, that means that the generation that comes from them will believe that that's how it was. This is how they start societies over they do it all the time. Whenever they say
that's real even right now. That's real right now.
Yeah.
I mean, remember about a year and a half ago, me and you had this conversation online. And we had this on your show. And the next thing we know, everybody under the sun wanted to have a show or did a show right after I spoke to you and you spoke to me about writing this into reality, writing spells, writing your whatever, your destiny. You know what I'm saying? So it goes to show that you will listen to and that there are ears. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's real.
Yeah,
this is what they do. In these meetings that these people go to and they have their little get-togethers and they decide how they're going to destroy and mess everything up, they have orgonic accumulators in the meeting rooms. So they're there building and feeding off their own organic energy. So imagine if everybody, again, you get this story and you write it how you want it or whatever, or you say how your life is going to be and you write it out, but you write it inside of an orgonic accumulator. You understand? That means that when you step out of that thing, the organic energy that you've attracted to yourself will greatly enhance the possibilities of that happening because you've done it in a sitting in which you become consciously aware of the unseen effects of your own energy over the planet and the universe around you, which means that you're included and you're now part of it all, which then means that you're not excluded from anything, which then means you fall under the trust that was set up for us by the Creator, in which they have to put at the top of every magistrate in the country is say, "In God we trust," because God set a trust up for us that was paid for with the blood of somebody that made it so that way we don't have to pay for nothing else. That cancels the debt that they have now put on us, but we don't know how to access that because a lot of people don't believe in God. But I'm not talking about God in the form of the Bible or Jesus. But you can use that in the proper manner in which it was used for, in which to bind them, because they understand that. They don't understand the other shit. You are more, and you come from this, and you have this jurisdiction. They don't understand all of that. They understand it, but they're not willing to enforce it because they know that there's no enforcement capability on our end to counteract them. Therefore, the war does not exist, which means that we are then occupied people. We're dealing with a machine, so it looks at things tactically in a certain manner. So if you understand the positions of war, instead of a lot of these people just talk about fighting, you know what I'm saying? War is fight. Fighting is the last part of war.
If I may, can I give a reference to a YouTube page? Is that all right or what?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Just want permission. If anything, man, like, you know how people always going to be listening to this here and so forth, and if anything, I would say, and I'm not going to say this is 100%, I don't 100 nothing but you and me and so forth like that. The 100 of this deal on the YouTube is Vortex Energy. And just listen to 1, 2, and 3, and it's on and popping. Somebody wants to go past there, it's whatever. But anyway, they heard what I just said. But I want to ask you one other thing. Look, the orgone, what we see as far as making orgone devices, smaller devices, whatever, with the resin, the clear resin, and the metal shaping.
Yeah, those are great.
And think, yeah, that's those what I want to know. That's what I'm asking you. Should they be like divesting their time into this,
like
doing it, or what?
Pyramid and the orb or whatever, those things are great. Those things are great in terms to have around you because they build it up in your crib. It's great. I'm just saying that that's not the end all to be all. That those things are great, but if you're spiritually, caught up, that means and your orgone levels are higher, it's still not necessarily going to help you consciously because you're still in a rut. It's about how you view yourself. It's about how you interact with the universe around you yourself. It's about how you see yourself in the story. Are you the Heru, or are you the person who has to be saved? Are you the person who's trying to stop everybody?
Just letting them make this and getting their hands on it and making it. Is it like, would you say that it's a beneficial step, a baby step?
It's a proper way to bring about balance, and it's a good way to teach universal values, and it's fun. Kids will love making stuff like that because then what happens is the kids. Say again?
Can I give it out, or will you give it out? Do you want to give it out the way to make the little basic things, or do you want me to give it out? I mean, if it's okay with you.
Well, yeah, but not tonight because I want to get a couple more people because I haven't been able to get that's a little in depth. But we can call Monday. Call on Monday, and then you can tell them how to do it.
That's cool. Well, you see the new number. So, look, man, a lot of things going down here. I'm still alive since 1 year ago what went down, dog. You know what I'm saying? But I keep on being resilient, so it's all good. But like you used to say back in the day, excuse me, excuse the language, this shit is real. And when they go back in the archives, this shit is real, okay? So trust and believe, you know what I mean? My 2004 Crown Victoria was smashed from the back. I did see something, they couldn't find the cars up on the curb. And look at them, this guy was more important than me. Looking at what their product was that they used to do what they did to me. Now, King, you can elaborate or you can just cut me off or whatever, dog, but I'm still here.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to speak to you on Monday. I'm going to speak to you on Monday, brother.
For real,
I'm going to speak to you on Monday.
All right.
Be safe.
Man, I'm always safe,
be
dog.
well, and bless the family, man. Thank you guys for your support. We definitely love y'all.
For real. Oh, you know this, man. Much love.
832, you on Superhero Radio? Oop. 832, you on Superhero Radio? I am. Peace. Can you hear me? Seven seven zero. The Superhero Radio. Can you hear me? Sound like a baby. Sound like a baby. Let's go. Peace, baby. 973. You want Superhero Radio? Peace, can you hear me? It's not. Yeah, anybody that's interested in our upcoming class on July 13th, it's entitled Ecclesiastical Law, God, the Living Soul, the Crown, and the Kingdom. We get into exactly the aspects of the so-called God trust that is referred to in certain circles, and what ecclesiastical law is and why it has the ability to trump canon law, and as it is, can be proven as the foundation of common law, as a true basis of spiritual disunification between yourself and the state of Satan that exists on the planet in the form of the IMF, UN, the United States, etc. Now, again, this does not mean that everybody who exists within these groups and these orders are down with it and they're evil people and all that. It just says that they're on their way to be that based on the foundation and why this place, these things were founded the way they are. These things are institutions. And when you go into an institution can be a school or it can be a prison. It can be a university or it can be a hospice if it's there long enough. And institutions are based on systems. And systems are based on the programmed reactions on how society is meant to function on a purely, let's say, reptilian, malevolent level, because that's the function of, let's say, the reality, or as it has become that. So, from the fake gold in Fort Knox, you can research that, Google that. They've also had negotiations between various levels of the so-called dragon societies to try to work and come to some accord or whatever based on what happened in Japan. That's not working out. Nebraska, the nuclear plant is basically in the same or almost in the same position that the one in Japan was in the early stages, based upon the disruption of the coolant due to the destruction of the tornado and everything that ran through there. That happened the day after the guy predicted that the whole world was going to end, which is interesting. So new dates they want to try to flip on people is going to be September 9th and August 22nd, when they want to try to work on the government not falling into default, which it already has privately, but publicly that's going to be a whole other thing. So we'll discuss ways on dealing with alternative currencies and stuff like that on Monday's show. Also, look out for a supposed sex tape that's been around that allegedly has members of the hip-hop community, elite, engaged in ritualistic coitus with other members of with their peers, as well as members of high-level BET associative. You can go to what is this? HollywoodStreetKing.com. and hear for yourself about it. Another thing, the Eddie Long thing went down too. The reason why he was able to settle that real quick was due to the fact that one of them boys had him on cell phone that had a picture of him in the act. So in the process of that, he had to settle quick. But based on his chart, you can bet there's going to be a couple of other people coming out now talking about him, and look for somebody else within that whole realm to be caught up. Speaking of slaves, Jamie Foxx is about to play a runaway slave in Quentin Tarantino's new movie. So we go from the help to slave. He's also trying to market this whole movie with him and Martin as Shaniqua and Shanae. They're still trying to punk that. So he's definitely a cultural enemy of black men in the sense that he is working to continue the perpetuation of all of us as black men as being effeminate and homosexual. And that's whack. It's not cool, man. Let's see. Yeah, so you can research that whole, reptilian thing and coming from that in terms of the star systems and all of that. Yet, I think that upon further investigation and objective investigation, we will find that a lot of the things that we're interpreting, we're still interpreting through Western ideology. And we're getting caught up in the visual representations of the things as alliterations and not iterations of greater concepts that will unlock what we're supposed to be going through. Like I said, most of the people in Africa, according to the UN, and they own Africa, is Roman Catholic, and they ain't trying to change. Michelle Obama over there right now acting like shit is cool. They still bigging up Mandela. The truth about a lot of the personages that we hold up as heroes are also stopping us from doing certain things. Because if you pattern your life after somebody and then you find out that they're on some total other shit, then what does that say about you? We have a lot to deal with, And it's in my humble opinion that it's a combination of what's been going on. Like a lot of people don't know what it takes to do the basic things that you do every day. Can be so trying and so hard, that at times you feel like you could be going crazy. And you are. In that moment, you are. It's just how far you're going to go descend into that madness. And how far you can bring yourself back is what makes you God. And your belief and understanding and knowing that this eternal force chose you as its archetype. Regardless to what alien they want to bring down and saying all of that, they'd rather the pyramids be made by pandas. They'll come up with Kemet and all of this was made by salamanders and pink unicorns and elephants. They did it. Everybody, they'd rather everybody do it but us, and that's what makes you know that something's up, yo. Something's up with us. It's something about us. And nobody really want to investigate that. And that is the truest revolution that we could ever go through. It ain't about what society say that we want to be and are. You notice, those of us that have been involved in law and the Moorish and all of that, a lot of us never had any experience with police or any of that up until the point that we chose to, become sovereign and do certain things. Which means that there's a certain operating function that has been enacted to deal with people like us who come in that way. Therefore, we must construct a new form of counterbalance that allows us a proper entry into what it is we hope to achieve. So somebody asked the other day, I was like, yo, man, I don't even see you no more. You don't be doing lectures and all of that. And I'm like, I've been doing lectures for over 2 years for free. But because you don't see me, you see what I'm saying? It becomes something else. But it isn't like that. We all have to be here for each other, so let's work today. So anybody wants to holler at us about the classes coming up or the current class that we're in, holler at me at houseofl@hotmail.com, or you can go to www.aseertheduketeers.com to see some of the new stuff that we have up. With people awaiting their copy of the GS418. Thank you for bearing with us with the patience. We're going through aspects of making it tight and getting it where it needs to be, so that way it's a really standalone. Therefore, it can become its own thing, So thank you for being patient. We're going to definitely have the stuff out there soon for people to start getting involved with that aspect. But in terms of the actual classes, like I said, holler at me at houseofl@hotmail.com, HOUSEOFEL@hotmail.com, as well as www.aseertheduketeers.com. You can check some of the stuff out we have on YouTube, as well as, what else we got? Our album, is on iTunes. Go to Aseer the Duketeers and Selena, the Empress of 10,000 Years, for some of the songs you've heard. It's on iTunes right now, or you can get it on the website. And also check out www.sagasod.com. Please check my brother. Peace to him, peace to you, peace to the Universal Family Superhero Radio. See you on Monday night. Peace.